Mm.
That's cool. And we're recording this call, so and we'll send a summary out after this call of the call. But welcome everyone to the call. We really appreciate you taking your time. We wanted to have a call specifically on the World Conservation Congress with a focus on what islands might be doing there. And just prefacing that by saying we actually don't know all of the things that might be going on there from an island perspective. A little bit, this call is going to help us figure that out and help us work out how we can help each other through that, through the WCC. I've actually been to, I think, 5 World Conservation Congresses, but I think Anna's been to a lot more, and she's going to talk about that a little bit. As we said, please put your information into the call, into the chat, and we'll get cracking. Hang on. And oh yeah, so my name is Kate Brown. I'm with the Global Island Partnership, the Executive Director of the Global Island Partnership. We That basically was our opening. We've been involved with World Conservation Congress for a long time, and with IUCN is a member of our board. And it's good to see João Sousa here, who is our board member from IUCN, and he will talk to us a little bit in a little bit. And then we also work with different programs of IUCN. Um, and actually, GLISPA used to be based in IUCN's office for 10 years. So we've had a very long relationship with IUCN. And we also fundamentally believe that this is a very important norm setting meeting for conservation. And also for bringing together innovation and some of those things. For people that got our agenda, there were some annexes to the agenda. One was the history of islands with the World Conservation Congress, which is Annex 1. It just talks through like the different ways that islands have shown up in there. And then the second one is more of a timeline since Amman in 2000, but obviously the World Conservation Congress was earlier than that, where islands have kind of really played an important role or have used the World Conservation Congress to help advance issues. Particularly, you can see kind of the one in South Korea. There was a lot on island biodiversity, and then obviously when it was in Hawaii in 2016. So and then the last annex, which for some reason doesn't have the word annex in front of it, is what we could pull out of island-related motions at the World Conservation Congress. So you'll see some of those at the end, and we'll talk through all of these things during this call. But without further ado, I'm going to move to the next slide, which is this one. And I don't know, João, do you want to talk to these World Conservation Congress slides
Not
as the
necessarily, not necessarily. I can, but I'm not versed in the Congress. I attended only one, and but yeah, as long as I can help, yes.
yeah, I mean, I'm also happy to do it because I think and oops. So I think maybe here, there you go. Highlight us. I think we'll
Oh,
just
this
spend
one is fine. Sorry, Kate.
yeah. Oh, do you want me to just I'll do it and you talk about the island part after this. So this is kind of a presentation that IUCN has on the World Conservation Congress. So they're expecting 10,000 people on site. It's also virtual and it is a 7-day event. We'll talk about that. Because it's the forum, which is more like a conservation conference. So the forum is members and people that aren't members together. There's also an exhibition, and then IUCN members meet separately. So you need to be an IUCN member to go to the IUCN Members Assembly to direct the governance of IUCN, the strategy, and to agree on things. So you can see here the range, and we'll send the link to this presentation. As I said before, it's important for this purpose of establishing the global conservation agenda. This is where you're seeing a lot of that coming together. And it is one of the few moments in time where we see a very diverse group of people coming together, trying to move a lot of things forward. There are some things to do with the IUCN itself's program of work and the 20-year strategic vision. So these are those things that will be in the members' assembly. And then this is just a quick schedule. It's very busy because not only are there during the forum session, there are the forums, there's the exhibitions, and then there's a lot of pavilions, including one for Oceania. So which will focus on islands, and then also there's a bunch of them. João might have a better idea of that. And we talked about this. If you want to get into the forum thing, that link actually works to get you there. But as I said, it's a whole bunch of workshops, etc., leadership events. There's a lot of things going on in the forum, and it actually is extremely energizing. And then the exhibition, that's what that place is going to look like. Another 5 days of programming. So there's an enormous amount of programming at the World Conservation Congress. It's one of the reasons why we think it's really important to have this type of a call, to just see what people are thinking and what they're doing through the 10,000 people. And I'm going to pass to Anna, and then we're going to come back to you after that, João. Anna Tiraa from the Cook Islands. She can introduce herself. Put this nice photo of her where she looks like she's out enjoying herself or gardening in the Cook Islands. But she has been a Oceania councillor for IUCN and a whole range of other roles, and in member organisations, and a staff member. And so she can, I think, give some thoughts to what she thinks might be important for this. Over to you, Anna.
Thank you very much, Kate. By the way, that photo was taken in Samoa. So yeah, when we were doing our Sunday beach adventures. All right, so I'm going to talk about the, my IUCN journey and the amplification of island voices, with an emphasis on the Pacific, because the Pacific is what I know best. And so excuse me if there are other people from island nations here, but my talk will mainly focus on the Pacific. And so I can just start from the beginning. My introduction to IUCN came in at the 2004 Congress in Bangkok. It was by default that I attended that Congress. I was living in Thailand at the time, and a good friend of mine, Ian Karika, was going to the Congress. So I signed up for the cheaper package deal that only allowed limited participation, but it didn't matter to me, because what mattered was that I got to be there and hang out with the mates, including Kate Brown. And I would also get a taste of the global family. Back then, the Pacific Islands presence was small. There at that particular Congress, I mostly met the Fijian delegation, because Fiji was the only Pacific Island member through the University of the South Pacific at that time. Now, if we fast forward to today, and the transformation has been remarkable. We now have 8 state members in the Pacific, 9 NGOs, and 1 subnational government institution. This means that nearly every Pacific Island country now has an IUCN member. In fact, the Pacific now has more members than Aotearoa, New Zealand, and we are fast catching up to Australia. So, amplifying island voices. Kate mentioned the annex about motions and resolutions. I'm just going to quickly, these have been mentioned, but I've just picked out a couple of key ones to share with you. And I know that some of you have read the annex. The Hawaiian Commitment, 2016, which highlighted conservation challenges unique to islands. The 2020 resolution on halting biodiversity loss in the insular Caribbean. 2020 resolution again on establishing a marine biodiversity conservation area in Micronesia, and the 2021 moratorium on deep sea mining. Now, I mentioned this one because even though it wasn't proposed by that motion wasn't led by the Pacific. It was led by flora and fauna. It was strongly supported by island nations and allies concerned about the risk to marine biodiversity. Representation on committees and commissions. Interesting, I've only seen a small handful of Pacific Islanders step up to committees that have been established by the IUCN. I currently serve on the steering committee of the Climate Crisis Commission, and some of you will know this is a new commission that was established at the last Congress. So it's an interim Climate Crisis Commission. And so at this World Congress, we're looking at making it more of a permanent commission, and also including it into the work program, IUCN work program and budget. I am also the regional vice chair for Oceania region for the Climate Crisis Commission. Now, despite climate change being an important issue for us here in the Pacific, island participation is still limited across all commissions. So if you're not a member of the Climate Crisis Commission, in the next quadrennial, I would encourage you to join. Early years of the CEM, I was also a member of the CEM, the Commission on Ecosystem Management. I recall probably about 4 to 5 Pacific Islanders that were members. Now, council representation. Out of the 28 regional councillors globally, the Oceania region had 3 representatives, one of them being from the Pacific Islands. When I was on council, in both my terms, the number of island representatives on council remained at 2. IUCN offers many entry points. So the point here, it offers many entry points for people to be engaged, such as the commissions, the motions, the committees that establish, council, regional officers, or just drafting sponsors or motions or co-sponsoring motions. What I value most about IUCN is the sense of community. You are never alone. Whenever you need support, you can call on the network, and everyone and everywhere you turn, there are conservation-minded people working for a healthier planet. I also appreciate the unique mix of member organizations, commission experts, regional officers, and the secretariat that together make up the IUCN Port Union. So I had a bit of a think about this, and looking ahead, what more can we do? Today, with our membership base larger than New Zealand and growing closer to Australia's, the Pacific has real potential to amplify its voice further. But to do so, we need to strengthen council representation. Now, the old model where Australia and New Zealand each hold 1 council seat is outdated. The Oceania region has evolved since Bangkok days. There is nothing stopping from Pacific Islanders from nominating more than 1 candidate from the region. It's important that we stand in unity. If we truly want to raise our voice, we must stand together as a region. At the regional level here in the Pacific, right now I am seeing some fragmentation. For example, Pacific Island countries are not united on deep sea bed mining. We also need to continue to engage across the platforms, whether in commissions, committees, or side events. The island voices must continue to be present and active. And probably just a final reflection from me, IUCN has been like a home for me. It's a space where I've served on 4 commissions, worked on council, joined the motions commission, and even helped draft motions. The journey that began in Bangkok in 2004 with a cheap package and a good friend has become a long-term commitment for me. The islands have come a long way in IUCN, but the challenge and opportunity before us now is to move from the participation to elevate to leadership. We have to build a strong foundation, and with the responsibility to we have built a strong foundation, and with the responsibility to amplify our voices. To do so, we must step up into IUCN's many platforms, from commission to council, ensuring that our unity and our unique island perspectives continue to shape the future of global conservation. And probably just one last more point from me. I think for the commissions, I'm not quite sure what it is. Maybe we're not doing a great job in letting the Pacific Island countries know that these commissions exist, or maybe it's a lack of awareness about IUCN. It's not an easy beast to navigate through, but I suspect it's probably a bit of both. I think probably more education and awareness is needed around IUCN, and in particular around how it works and how we can get involved in IUCN. Thank you.
Thanks, Anna. That's awesome. I think that's the challenge, that we can all think about and integrate a little bit into how we show up at the World Conservation Congress. And now we're going to move to our next speaker, which is João. He's going to, I don't know, maybe talk about islands. You've got a few minutes, João.
Yeah, I'm a bit wasted. I returned from Philippines 2 days ago. We had a 10-day mission in Mindoro and then in Cebu. Yeah, all the work that was not done on those days are now piling up. No, just a very good presentation about IUCN, and I don't have anything basic to add. As I said, I don't have a lot of experience. Also understanding that the Congress is an event that happens every 4 years, just for the in terms of information. Some people are not so much aware about the main 3 activities that happen every 4 years. So basically, this is where IUCN sets the conservation priorities for the next 4 years, and takes an understanding about what were the achievements in the previous 4 years. So this is a space that normally comprehends the members' assembly, which is basically where member organizations will vote for the motions that will shape the conservation policy in the upcoming 4 years. Then there's the forum, which is a space for debates, networking, and sharing expertise. And then what I like to say, that's mostly work. And then the fun part for me, it's the exhibition that serves as a marketplace for all the new research and conservation solutions. That's where we start to talk with people that I don't know, last time is a place where you start to engage people that are working with acoustics, and people that are bringing eDNA crossed with something. It's just a space where you start to hear about all these absolutely fantastic things that are happening all around you. But because we tend to be very heads-on on something, and sometimes we forget the capacity that this type of events brings when we actually sit down with people that are doing completely different things from the ones we do, but with the same direction, which is absolutely great. Regarding islands, yeah, we launched during Nice the TLS. We still couldn't find a better name, so Tailored Local Solutions is, instead of bringing normally capacity or technical assistance to island, and this is something that we've been trying, because we run 2 facilities under the Blue Natural Capital, is to understand that a lot of knowledge that is not captured and not utilized in some places, namely in islands. And we realize that more than bringing technical assistance, we need to understand local knowledge that can be empowered by some other mechanisms. It's not just we're not bringing knowledge, the knowledge is there, but what can we do with it? So when we did the first capacity training in Mozambique, understanding that we only look into using local authorities instead of bringing people from the outside to understand what can be done in that realm. We had the same experience in Colombia, in a couple of islands where you understand that the Raizal people, they know way more about conservation than we do, because they've been doing this for ages. They just have different names for things. So the idea is that what type of tailored local support we can bring, and what would be the difference instead of just bringing experts from around the world, flying them and landing with the solutions, is how can we empower local solutions, the ones that work. So this is the idea that we started in Nice, and we are going to try this now in three countries, island states, so Tonga, Samoa, and Vanuatu to start, and then if we can also do Tuvalu, depending on funding available, this will be our first 4 batch of countries where we're going to test our tailored local support facility and see how it goes. I'll be happy to answer questions about this. I'm a bit jet lagged yet still, but this is mostly the work we've been setting up when it comes to TLS for islands. This needs probably to be linked, but we're still waiting for some confirmation, with the work on potential polluting wrecks, also really affecting islands, and specifically in the Pacific. This is a project that we kickstarted some time ago, and now is being spearheaded by Waves Group and IMO and Lloyd's Registry Foundation, trying to understand the potential impact from sunken vessels, so wrecks from mostly Second World War that still carry a lot of ammunition and exploded ordnance and bunker fuel, and trying to understand how this work could be linked to the TLS on small and developing states in this case. So you asked me to talk a bit about islands.
Oh,
so
that's awesome.
it's a lot of information. So on one hand is that we come up with facilities that are very, very specific towards islands, and on the other hand, working with the PPW, potential polluting wrecks. A third point relate with the islands that I would like to bring. I don't know if we talked about this, Kate. We're trying to understand, it's a bit more complex, how we can, through a process of gamification, we could set up a game that basically the script would be something very simple, where you have a kid that is dealing with a lot of issues on a specific island, from lack of or degradation of fishes because of pollution. So there's a lot of issues going on. So it's just a normal game that the kid would play. Kids would play from starting age 9 up to 15. But the difference is that on this process of gamification, we would produce a game that depicts a reality on an island, from an island state that faces issues from climate change to erosion to death of coral, loss of fisheries. So it's just let's say, a normal game. Now, games normally are scripted under certain type of conditioning. So meaning that a game will obey to a certain specific rules. The idea of this game is not to do another game, but a game where the conditions will be set up by policymakers, meaning the game will have let's say, 2 profiles. You have the profile from the gamer, where we accept like a bunch of kids playing the game and trying to come up with solutions for the challenges. But so the game is not static. We would allow policymakers to tweak some of the conditions of the game, meaning that I will have, for instance, my son, and I consulted my son a lot about this. We'll play a game that challenges conservation from an island perspective, but then the game becomes boring because challenges are sorted out. But the idea is that then policymakers can go and decide that, for instance, the MPA areas will grow or will shrink, and with that the fishes will feel the fact that the MPA will be extended or shrunk. So all these variables will be put in place by policymakers. And then, of course, you have, yeah.
Oh, just on that, can you send more information on that? I'm just conscious of the time.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, I just get
And also
excited
that
with
people
this.
can come and hunt you down at the World Conservation Congress and talk to you more about that as well.
Yeah.
I'm just going to shift over to Christina. Thank you for that. That sounds awesome. I'd love to play that game. But Christina is going to talk a bit more about the islands and the EU overseas. Over to you, Christina.
Hello, good morning and good evening or good afternoon. So thank you, Kate, for inviting me and inviting BESTLIFE 2030. My name is Christina. I am based in Brussels and I am a senior program manager of IUCN, and I'm responsible for BESTLIFE 2030. BESTLIFE 2030 is the successor of the BEST initiative. Probably you all know or are familiar with it. That was initiated more than a decade ago, and GLISPA has had a lot to do with it. Thank you. And basically what we do, or what we are a granting mechanism funded by the European Commission that provides support to local actors across the EU overseas. We are focused on the EU overseas territories, so spanning from the Caribbean all throughout the Pacific. And this is a program that is going to last until 2031, and we are operating by way of launching calls for proposals. So local actors apply for funding. They have full ownership of the proposal and the design of the action that they want to implement, and after thorough evaluation, and they get funded or they get awarded or not. So the work that we do, basically, I mean, ultimately what we want to achieve is scale up conservation action and across the EU overseas by empowering the local actors. But if I can perhaps name the three fundamental pillars of the program, one of them is capacity strengthening. So we focus a lot on strengthening the skills and enhancing the capacities of the actors that we are working with. Another one is fostering and promoting networking and collaboration within the territories, but also we're trying to do this between the different regions. Is something that we don't find easy, and we quite it is a road that we still need to navigate, but it's something that we are very strongly about achieving. And the third one is about raising awareness and communicating what we do, giving visibility and advocate for what we do. So I suppose we echo a lot the work that GLISPA does. We're very, very grateful for having reunited, if I can say this, with GLISPA. And we would really like to strengthen the collaboration with all of you at the Congress. At the Congress, BESTLIFE 2030 will be participating in different events across the forum and the exhibition. But if I can perhaps select an event that will totally be owned by the program, and where we really want to give a voice to the things that we are doing and the mechanism that we are adopting is one that is called scaling up on the ground conservation action in the EU overseas, from small grants to big impacts. So basically what we want to do is we have like 60 minutes. Kate GLISPA will be joining us in one of the segments, is talk about the challenges and the opportunities that a funding mechanism like BESTLIFE 2030, there are plenty of them, challenges and opportunities that we have. So we will be, we are not bringing any grantees or any local actors to participate in person at WCC, and it is a very conscious decision that I made because we basically we prefer to spend this this funding or this money on enabling them to visit one another, to participate in capitalization experiences in different field visits that we will be organizing, rather than perhaps it's a wrong decision, but we did it very purposefully. We will not have anybody participating in person. However, we will have obviously participation online. One of the segments will be to talk about islands as global drivers of conservation, where GLISPA and island conservation will basically give the framework of everything that Anna and Kate have been speaking about. Then I'm looking away because I'm looking at the program. We have another segment of the session which is about understanding how local-led initiatives like us can translate into sustainable conservation outcomes. And it will be participated by regional partners of BESTLIFE 2030. These are the people that we have, if I can say so, deployed across the different regions, and are the ones who have first contact with the grantees. And then we have the last segment of the session, actually is one that I'm very, very looking forward to, which is about sustaining impact beyond grants, where we will bring together a couple of grantees, local actors. One of them is from the French Caribbean and the other one is from Micronesia, together with a government representative from Guadeloupe, from the French Caribbean. And basically we want for them to talk to each other and understand what they need from each other to be able to sustain conservation impact once the funding, for instance, from BESTLIFE 2030 has ended. What it is that they need from one another, to the governments to perhaps apply funding to actions that have already been initiated and implemented, and from grantees what it is they need to do, how they need to engage governments and local stakeholders to gain this long-term funding to achieve long-term impact. So what I'm expecting from the Congress, this will be my first Congress in person, although I worked for the last one as well in Marseille, is to raise visibility on all the issues that I've been speaking about, but also obviously to network and to learn from you, to meet you, and to build a foundation for future collaboration, which is something I think GLISPA and Kate have initiated very solidly. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you so much. Look forward to seeing you in, I think, very good. And then I'm going to ask Hyacinth Armstrong-Vaughn from Caribbean to give us a brief update from Caribbean region, or OMAC.
Yeah,
Caribbean.
thanks, Kate. Thanks for the invitation. Hello, everyone. So I am Hyacinth. I'm based in Barbados, and I do report to the regional office that is based in Costa Rica, that has responsibility for Mexico, Central America, and the Caribbean. And yeah, so we will be present at the Congress. And what is different about this Congress from the other ones is that we will actually have a pavilion focused on the Americas. So that's giving us an opportunity to be a little bit more visible at the Congress than previous occasions. I've been physically to one. I went to my first Congress was in Hawaii, and I did not go to Marseille, but I did participate virtually in that Congress. So I'm fairly familiar with the process there. And yes, it's definitely an opportunity for us to continue to engage. And I think for the Caribbean region, we tend to get lost, like most, I think across the region, all the regions, the islands get lost in these big events. So we're very happy that the Americas Pavilion would allow us to have a space. So I was the regional coordinator, I say was, the BIOPAMA program, which is Biodiversity and Protected Areas Management Program. It's a global initiative funded by the European Union under the 11th European Development Fund. And it's an initiative of the Organization of Africa, Caribbean, and Pacific States. So BIOPAMA was executed across 15 countries in the Pacific, 15 in the Caribbean, and 49 across the continent of Africa. So we will have a very big presence at the Congress within all of these regions and through the headquarters. So in terms of the Caribbean, we would have dedicated events in the Americas Pavilion, looking specifically at promoting the work that we've done through BIOPAMA for the Caribbean countries. And then we have two other events for two other projects out of the portfolio of IUCN in the Caribbean. One that is looking at the wise use of Caribbean wetlands and the lessons from that. And the other one is looking at plastics. Let me get the title of it so I can tell you specifically. Tackling plastic pollution in Latin America and the Caribbean. So from an island perspective and the Caribbean perspective, those are some of the events that we would be focusing on, or at least promoting. But as I said, through the BIOPAMA family, we would also have island voices outside of the Americas Pavilion and other fora that that would be led in by the headquarters team. So we'll have at least one event on the central stage that would be looking at the work of BIOPAMA across the regions. So we'll have voices from all of the regions in that. And there will be a couple other events throughout the forum, I should say exhibition. Most of these are all exhibition events where the island voices, again, voices from the field would be heard. I would like to say, Kate, that I would like to have the opportunity. We do have IUCN members attending as well from the Caribbean, and most of them are island states. I'll be honest, and you can tell me, I don't know how many of them are actually engaged in GLISPA, but I don't usually hear GLISPA mentioned in any of the fora that I attend when it comes to our Caribbean work. So I think this can be an opportunity to, again, give GLISPA some visibility and see how we can strengthen the partnership with GLISPA in the Caribbean region through the members, through the regional office. I think that is definitely something that we can explore. And yeah, just looking forward to reconnecting with you. And just so you know, I don't know if Sophia said, but she will be present at the Congress. We are supporting her participation. So you'll have another board member present.
She did say she's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Hyacinth. And we do look forward to seeing you in thing, and we'll follow up also. What we'll try and do, if for all of these people and anyone, if you have events that are specifically on islands or you want to share them, please send them to us and we'll put them in a folder so that people can access them. Yeah, some other things that we typically do. I want to, oh, there is a folder, yes. Pass to quickly looking at some motions, and we have two people that are going to talk to two motions that we have highlighted. One is on the Decade of Island Resilience, which is fairly obvious, and one on the protection of mesopelagic ecosystem integrity. So I'm going to pass to Cameron Diver from Island Conservation. Over to you, Cameron.
Thank you, Kate, and hello again to everybody. We just found out this morning, Southern Hemisphere time, that motion 71 had been adopted via the electronic voting process. So we are delighted now that this is no longer Island Conservation's motion, but is an IUCN motion, so something that belongs to the whole of the Union. And we are looking forward to working with everybody and hopefully a global constituency to take it forward. The idea of this motion really was to shine a light on the importance of island resilience, not from the perspective of islands being victims of the triple crisis of biodiversity loss, climate change, and degrading ocean health, but really from the perspective of islands as solutions that can be solutions not only for their own challenges, but scaled up and scaled out to demonstrate that conservation action works, that it can make a really concrete contribution to tackling that triple nexus crisis, and that by working together and using a UN decade as a means of ensuring that islands don't get forgotten in the discussion on crafting the next generation of sustainable development goals, taking forward solutions to meet the objectives of the Kunming Montreal Biodiversity Protocol, working on various forms of other solution that will be coming through other forums like the IUCN and other multilateral fora. We were looking to say what we need is a convening platform that ensures that islands are front and center, a platform that doesn't only talk about ambition, but talks about how we move funding to action, ensuring that we're looking at, from an island's perspective, a holistic restoration of islands that takes into account, you know, invasive species, rewilding, protection, community engagement, genuinely authentic community engagement and partnerships, Indigenous and local knowledge, and bringing all of that to bear to catalyze science-based action. And within science, we capture traditional knowledge as well, in and around islands across the planet, in terrestrial ecosystems, in marine ecosystems, to address once again all of these challenges with the co-benefits that will flow from that for community well-being and for a number of other major development challenges. So what we are looking to do at the World Conservation Congress is convene a breakfast meeting to shine a light on this motion, to celebrate islands as actors of both their own solutions, but global solutions, and to use the WCC as a platform for contacts to help move this forward once again in the framework of a motion that, as I said earlier, is no longer our motion, but the union's motion, and to see how we can map out what the next steps would be to make this United Nations, this call for a UN Decade of Island Resilience, with the theme, as it said in there, Islands for Impact, into more than just an idea on a page or an idea at a breakfast meeting or an idea that's expressed in a video call with you all, but into something that actually becomes a genuine global catalyst for action, again, that does not present islands as victims, but presents islands and islanders as really key contributors to crafting some of these global solutions that we absolutely need, and being able to demonstrate that, you know, action on the ground actually works and can bring about scalable impact.
Thanks,
Kate.
Cameron. And I think we've been talking about this in GLISPA as well in the lead up to next year's CBD COP, about the importance of trying to show the overall impact rather than just individual island by island, because I think that's where you see a thing. So I think working together on that would be really great, and well done. That's great that the motion went through. And now I'm going to ask Kristin Kleisner from the Environmental Defence Fund to just talk a little about the protection of mesopelagic ecosystem integrity motion number 35.
Great. Thank you, Kate. And hello, everyone. And yeah, I have a few slides because I thought this is not a topic that does seem to have such a direct connection. So I thought maybe it would be nice. Let me see if I can
You
share.
should be able to share.
Let's see. Put it into the... Tell me if you guys can see that on full screen there.
Yep.
Great. So our motion is motion 35. We did not, Cameron, congratulations. That's awesome. We actually asked to be debated, have the motion considered at the Congress, because we had some pushback from some countries on some of the language. And so it was actually a quite confusing process with the motion and the language. And we had a learning curve. I don't know, we heard that a lot of people did, but that 2 versions of our text for this motion were actually up. And so we were worried that if it went through the electronic process, states wouldn't know what they were considering. So in any case, we're still hopeful that this will pass. But this is a motion about protecting what's sometimes called the ocean twilight zone, also known as the mesopelagic. It's this area that seems like a small sliver of the ocean from 200 to 1,000 meters deep, but it actually runs, both in the high seas and in country waters. Obviously, many islands, have mesopelagic waters around in their territories, and it's a very important region for a couple of reasons. First of all, and I hope that you can see I can see you guys.
Yes.
You can see everything. Okay. So first of all, the species in this region, and it's incredibly biodiverse. Some of the estimates now from more recent research are that it's the most biodiverse region of the ocean. The little creatures that live in this region, and many of them are quite small, some of them are kind of very interesting looking. I think they're kind of beautiful, but very different. They're actually making a migration up to the surface at night to feed and then back down into the mesopelagic. And in doing that, they kind of act like a carbon elevator. So they're bringing carbon from the surface down into the deep. And they're a critical part of the ocean's biological carbon pump, which helps to stabilize our climate. So of planetary importance to everybody in the world, I think, and this is, some estimates are that they represent or are functioning in 90% or responsible for 90% of that carbon drawdown, which is 2 to 6 gigatons of carbon, which is an enormous amount. It's a big range of uncertainty around those numbers. 2 to 6 gigatons is a lot. To put numbers on it, it's like twice the annual emission of cars in the US on the low end. So it's quite a lot. They're also incredibly important in the ecosystem. So they think there is about up to 90% of the biomass of the ocean within the mesopelagic. And they're a critical food source for many commercially and ecologically important species: sharks, marine mammals, seabirds, tunas, commercial fisheries that are important to island nations. And so that's what we've been talking about here, is the importance of really understanding the role both in the ecosystem and in climate functioning. Oops. There we go. And in the meantime, of course, so these species are not really commercially fished yet. There's some exploratory fisheries, but there's an intense interest in developing fisheries on these species because we need fish meal and fish oil for both aquaculture, agriculture, and there is a real, we've been working, and when I say we, it's a group of partners. So I'm with the Environmental Defense Fund, but we have other partners, including Ocean Conservancy and then Marine Conservation Institute, who actually are the leads on the motion, MCI, Lance Armstrong and Elle Bent, who will both be at the IUCN meeting. And so we've been trying to really, understand what the threat is. It's hard to know that there's where's the smoking gun and when will this happen? But just, what is the interest out there? How much pressure is there from dwindling supplies of fish meal stocks? And so the motion calls for, we sort of started with language that had a bit more, I would say, teeth, but and we have been working with various countries to, gain their support. This is the first time, this is really an international stage and an important call for protection for the mesopelagic. So we have gone from pausing expansion to more of a take a precautionary approach, at the very least, to fishing and other activities that could impact mesopelagic species until we really understand more about what we stand to lose and how and whether, I think the question is, maybe some fishing could happen, but how do we do that in a way that is sustainable? What does that mean? And they are very ecologically, they're fragile resiliency. Many of these communities is what the scientific communities found. So there's, some on, what we want to see, transparent reporting, rules around how you'd establish mesopelagic fisheries, consideration of other potential activities that could happen, like geoengineering and deep sea mining, that those come with some safeguards and consideration. This is an area of the ocean that isn't always top of mind for everybody. So here's some of our motion co-sponsors. So some of these may be familiar to you. We have been, let's see. Yeah, this is just a little bit on the timeline for the IUCN World Conservation Congress. It's up for vote in person at the Congress. I won't go through this. This is just a little bit on how the language changed, but I'm absolutely happy to talk to anybody on the call, or if you know of partners, especially we're trying right now actively to reach out to island nations. I think we have the support of Fiji and a few other island countries on the motion, which is great. This is a little bit outdated. I didn't have time to update. Fiji did express their support. We've had support from Panama, although they can't vote. Unfortunately, Mexico will support. We've been working hard with UK, Canada, and Belgium, but there are other island nations we've been looking to reach out to, Vanuatu, Tonga, Caribbean island nations as well. So if there are, members that you know of, I think that's the next slide. For any GLISPA members, it was great to hear who's going to be there and what you're looking to do. And, how we can support you all as well, of course. But if you are going to the WCC and you're a voting member, please vote. We'd appreciate that. We're going to host a reception with Ocean Conservancy and MCI. It's going to be the 10th or the 11th of October. We'll have a booth. We just found out a week ago that we got a side event accepted in the Americas Pavilion, and thank you, Kate, has considered kindly to speak there. And then, of course, the members' assembly. And if you can't, we do have social media and other information that I'm happy to share, and we would welcome any support. And if you have questions, of course, I know this was super quick, but I thought.
No, it's nothing like having a quick presentation on mesopelagic
All right.
things. No, that's awesome. And I put a link in the thing, Kristin, if you can drop that presentation in there. So there's a link that's just there that includes the motion and some other things. And I encourage everyone to put their your schedules and any side events and things related to islands that you want to share. I'm just going to hang on. I'm just going to do this and move us on. Our next space that we're going to be is looking at any questions. So we've got like 5 minutes. Sorry about that. What are you... So, we asked people to put in the chat what you're working on and how you think others might engage. And I think we got some of that. How we can amplify and communicate both some of the things that we heard here, but also how we can collectively elevate island issues at World Conservation Congress. I think we might start another island WCC chat WhatsApp group. And I do want to acknowledge that Kristin actually was in a side event talking about our WhatsApp group at UNOC, which someone that was in the audience sent me, but basically just to connect with each other, share things, share what's going on. And we want to, as you might know, we just launched the Island Biodiversity Coalition last week, talking about kind of how do we, very interconnected with a lot of what we're talking about now, but how we better raise the visibility of islands in particularly biodiversity related processes, which this is obviously one of them, and how to foster and accelerate implementation and mobilize resources towards that in an island space. So we are hoping to have a coffee discussion with people interested in that. And we'll also be following up with you, Hyacinth, and other the regional officers to try and talk to people about that. And yeah, is there any quick things? Otherwise, we've got something we quickly want to talk to you about as well, which I might, sorry for asking for questions, but then I'm just looking at the time. We've got 3 minutes. I'm just going to ask if you have things, please put them in the chat or email, and we can talk about them in the WhatsApp group. But please share your WhatsApp number with us. And then we can quickly talk about GLISPA's 20th anniversary celebrations because we're looking really forward. So in the last few minutes, Ava, you have like 2 minutes. Or I can just talk about it. So we're asking, which seems like what's going to happen. We're asking for submissions. So I think someone has put in the chat, I hope, the info sheet for this. We're celebrating our 20th anniversary next year. So we've been in existence for 20 years. As part of that, we want to we discussed at the UNOC the We Are GLISPA campaign, so we're really going to lean into the We Are GLISPA campaign for the next period of time. And there's an info sheet on that in the chat that Ava created. And we're looking at the voices and images from across our network, going back the 20 years or even further back, that we will feature across all of the things that we're doing. And then you can contribute in two ways. You can share your voice, so a short video and audio, and there's some instructions on how to do that, or share your photos that you might have. No photos that have me in it, please, but photos of other things, people, activities, things that you've been involved in that relate to GLISPA. And please subscribe to our LinkedIn and Instagram and YouTube channel for further updates on that, but we will be pushing that out over the next period of time. So all of these things are kind of intertwined with each other, and really trying to move the island space along. Are there any final 1 minute comment that anyone would like to say? Sorry, we didn't have questions. If not,
Can I intervene?
yes, go Albert.
Yes, my name is Albert Deterville. I am reaching you from the island of St. Lucia,
Awesome.
formerly called the Caribbean, in the Caribbean. I'm an Indigenous representative. I'm the executive chairperson of the KAYOSYALA Indigenous Peoples Competent Authority. That is the authority or governance for Indigenous peoples in the formerly called Caribbean area, which we call the KAYOSYALA region, taking the islands of Bermuda to Trinidad from the mid-Atlantic ridge and to the coastline of Central America. I have been listening to what you've been discussing. This is the first time that I have to listen to you all and also to follow what you've been saying. Let me just point out that the area that I'm referring to is 12,912,000 square kilometers of space. It's a lot of space. And that space is being occupied by non-Indigenous peoples, promoted by non-Indigenous peoples, and spoken of by non-Indigenous peoples. I would like to point out here, and I'll try to be very brief, that the area is under the custody, and as Indigenous peoples, we are the custodians of those islands, just as the South Pacific. So it is important that anything that is being discussed by international organizations with regard to what impacts upon us personally should involve us at the highest level. We are independent, we are non-aligned to states, and we provide and protect the knowledge. I heard somebody spoke of the Indigenous and local knowledge. We do not say Indigenous knowledge. Correctly, we would identify as Indigenous people's knowledge. So if you're referring to Indigenous people's knowledge, then say so. It is Indigenous people's knowledge because indigenous in our region may mean anything. But if you do not qualify it by peoples, if you're referring to peoples, then it means nothing to us as Indigenous peoples. So I would like the international organization to understand that 3 years ago, we established the KAYOSYALA Atlantic Environmental Initiative, which would take into consideration the area that I've just mentioned from Bermuda down to Trinidad and to the coastline of Central America and the northern coastline of South America, or South Abayala. So I'll end there. I just wanted to put my 2 pence hit, as we say in the Caribbean, so that you understand exactly why I'm listening to you and what role that we can perform as custodians. Let me repeat, we are the custodians of that space, not the governments,
No, we get
not
it.
non-governmental organizations. As
Mhm.
Indigenous peoples, we are custodians of our space, and that is our space that I've mentioned, which involves the area that I've mentioned there. We would be willing to collaborate with you all, as I mentioned, through the initiative, the KAYOSYALA Atlantic initiative with your organization, and we'll be very keen in collaborating with you on this.
Awesome. Thank you, Albert, for that short intervention. That's very, it's a good, I thank you very much for that. Without further ado, I see people have put their names and contacts in the chat. We can give people back the rest of your time. And Kristin is putting an event in New York Climate Week in case anyone's there. That's the CI event. Yep. Awesome. And thank you everyone very much. See you, those of you that are going in Abu Dhabi.
Thank you.
Thank you
I'll
guys.
see you
Bye.
there.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.